opportunity and they dare. So I think it's true, like you said, youth are not homogeneous, you know. When you do a youth campaign, for example, right now we are having youth policy in Youth Peace and Security, YPS. It's ongoing, a national youth policy. I was part of my coordinator, the organization that spearheaded in the KYPD, Kenya Youth Development, KYDP, Kenya Youth Development policy, that is the goal 16 for the youth would be peace and security. So I've seen in the past 5 years, I've seen the different 5 categories of youth, those who dare to do, those who are waiting for money, and then those who are expecting to maybe be dictated. They don't want to lead. They want to see someone rise, someone show the way, and then, so they're the ones who are waiting to follow. I'd say the first kind. They're the ones who are waiting to follow. And what I can say is that youth are not homogeneous. For example, in policy work, because that's what I am currently working on, you will publish, for example, the KYDP, it's around over 150 pages. And so if you think every youth is a student, has gone to school, is literate, and can understand all those technical terms, then you're going to lose them. I am sure, okay, in fact, in the room, how many have read or know that there's a KYDP for the youth of Kenya, 2019? The process started 2016? Okay. I don't even see hands. So you see, we already have that gap. So that you think youth will research, are on the lookout for things. So we have different attitudes, that's number one. Number two, we have different literacy. So you'll have the youth who are educated, the informed, the elite, maybe 3%, because actually in Kenya, I think adults with post-secondary education, actually 3% in the country. So hence, when you see the court abolish degrees, it's in the spirit of equality. I know it's not logical, but for those, as I look back, now that I have dealt a lot on grassroots, now I understand why. Because if you think policy work and you want to have everyone at the table, you know, from the farthest of corners, you know, if you put that cut off, some counties, the average schooling is class 4. So how do you want them to select a governor who's from them rather than import, you know? So those are the things around that we are actually not homogeneous. So you'll have the educated, the elite, the informed, those with, you know, the dare to do attitude. Then you'll have others in between. There are those who have, we call them NEET, neither educated, employed, or trained, you know. And those are the now we call the underserved community. So when I look at those who are waiting for money, sometimes it's not that they don't create the change, but they don't have the financial muscle, or they have not been capacity built on how to use what they have. Because a good number of youth just use what they have, and I'll get to the examples later from my experience. And then now to the first category of those waiting for opportunity or waiting to be led, again, there now comes the place of education, because for you to be able to inculcate, you can't assume that everyone's just going to be a change maker, or that, you know, their parents have taught them, you know, do good, you know, even this thing of SDGs and what it's about, you know, a good number of people, I'm sure, sustainable development goals is a term that they have never had, you know, if it's not put in the curriculum. Yeah. So there's a place for education. Yeah. There's a place for education. There's a place of engaging the youth at the level. So KYDP, I use it as an example. Something that they did right is that they did a popular version. So they took the 170 plus page document and put it into a 16 page with graphics and all that, something that, you know, you can look at it like a PowerPoint presentation, you know. And that's something, because for me, I engage with a lot, especially in the election years. We're dealing with matters youth peace, we're dealing with matters youth public participation, you know, because I think we always say nothing for us without us. So I think that's the space I'm in, on seeing how we can have youth inclusion in the right spaces, in the right tables, so that, as you mentioned, that, you know, the youth are reached at every sector. What will have to happen is that youth in those sectors will have to be able to organize themselves. And I think my parting shot would be, youth have to organize, mobilize, and strategize, because you actually have the numbers. And if I may close, I think...
And you're closing, right?
Yes. Yes, and I think there's something he mentioned, capacity building, but I think other than capacity building, I think we can't ignore the place of resource. Like, we have to put resource into capacity building. Yep. Otherwise, things are not automatic.
Thank you for that. there's something that is coming out, and it's coming out, I feel it, and I don't know if the audience is also hearing the conversation and sensing that there's one sort of, if I can call it a dot that keeps on being connected as all of you speaking. Purity, I'm bringing you into this conversation shortly. It's one we need to realize that youth, in as much as such as education for all children, young scientists of Kenya, World Reader, Get One, access to information, Trace Academia, and World Reader, adults in the room. As the panelists keep on speaking, it's important for us to appreciate that youth is not a homogeneous group. That is the first one that jumps out for me. Purity, I'm bringing you into this conversation because, as I mentioned, all these organizations that were represented yesterday, it's clear that there's an importance, there's an importance of peer-to-peer support, peer-to-peer mentorship, and that aspect, it sort of lives within all these networks. The EFAC, Education for All Children, engaging all these young people, and then there's the aspect of them circling. You've supported young people. You've been in the YE community, the Young Entrepreneurs community, get to understand empathy and actioning it at an early age. So my question to you is this. Again, first, begin by telling us a bit.
Or 5 years, he's just ahead of me, Meshach the same thing. And when I talk to them, I feel, okay, they're closer to the problem than maybe someone else who's way ahead, whose input is as valuable. I totally agree, and we continue to seek it as young people. But peer-to-peer learning is, from my experience, has been important in terms of just knowing that if Elliot has been there and he's still going, and I'm in that situation now, then all of them. So sometimes I see this opportunity and I want it, and this opportunity and I want it, and this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. And the moment I send up all of them, I end up doing none of them. So for instance, I like the fact that because we're having so many conversations about the youth, about other groups, then there's so many initiatives on the youth that have come up. So a good example for me is Young Entrepreneurs. So the platform itself there's a website, right, in which you connect to other young entrepreneurs throughout the world, which is a great resource. People like me who are going courses, and it's amazing how you can sit down after school and think, I think I'm done. And then you take a course on exporting coffee to China on the YE website, and you realize, wow, I know. And the good thing about, let's say, YE, because I can speak on that, is that they're very specific courses. So what I like about these platforms is that the more they learn about you, how they're saying that you're not homogeneous, is the more they provide.
So you've answered my question, because my question, I talked a lot, right? Mm-hmm. But the meat of all that was, do you see peer-to-peer as a core part of these, network building processes? Do you see the approaches that, say, for example, that were being discussed, working for young people? So you've been able to touch a bit, on that. So do you have any addition to what you said, or you feel you're good?
I think we can stop there.
We can stop there. Yeah. And just to include, I'll be including the audience shortly, and I see my mic guys around, so I will need two more mics, please. Challenges, opportunities in transforming growing up, learning, work, and innovation experiences for youth in Africa. So the challenges and the opportunities. From these discussions that we've had, and being young people ourselves, we are familiar